The Supreme Court of Uganda is the highest judicial organ in Uganda. It's headed by the Chief Justice and has 10 other justices. The quorum required for a court decision varies from 11, 9 or 7 depending on the type of case under consideration. When hearing a constitutional appeal, the required quorum is 7 justices. In a criminal or civil appeal, only 5 justices are required for a quorum. The Supreme Court derives powers from Article 130 of the 1995 Constitution. It's primarily an appellate court with original jurisdiction in only one type of case, a presidential election petition. According to the Permanent Secretary of the Judiciary, Pius Bigirimana, the 3 courtrooms at the Supreme Court building in Kampala were constructed with an international standard in mind, making them unique to the courts in Africa.
Why? Because of the size. You can see the ambience, the furniture, the fittings, give it a high position in the whole of Africa. We might only compete maybe with the International Crimes Division, International Criminal Court in The Hague, or some other courts in Europe and the United States.
At the previous premises in Kololo, the courtroom could only seat 5 justices at a time with a capacity to seat 70. In February 2021, former presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi launched a legal challenge in the Supreme Court against President Yoweri Museveni's victory in the January 2021 election, claiming that the poll was rigged. The case was heard in a tent at the Supreme Court in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Authority by Lords number 5.
What is mandatory in that one would be...
In the next general election in 2026, if the results are challenged, the petition will be heard in this courtroom that has the capacity to hold 150 people.
A number of times when the presidential election petition, we have been having them in a tent, and we thought that was unacceptable for a sovereign state. Second, we had to make sure that we provide for all the judges, the 11 judges of the Supreme Court, so that at any time, if they have to sit, the quorum should be there, 11.
There are also 2 smaller courts that can accommodate a maximum of 74 people, with the quorum of justices required varying from 1 to 5 to attend to criminal or civil appeals.
If at any given point those who would like to be a part of the court proceedings cannot fit in here, an online provision was put in during the construction of these courtrooms.
The Court of Appeal, which is the second highest court in the country, is headed by the Deputy Chief Justice. It handles appeals from the High Court with its original jurisdiction when adjudicating matters relating to the constitutionality. The 3 appellate courts in the Court of Appeal building were designed, constructed and furnished with the same capacity of the 3 courtrooms in the Supreme Court building. The only difference is the quorum of sitting judges on a case. When sitting an appellate court in a criminal or civil matter, the required quorum is an odd number of justices, not less than 3 in number. When sitting to consider a constitutional matter, quorum is achieved by an odd number of justices, not less than 5. However, all judgments by the Court of Appeal are theoretically appealable to the Supreme Court of Uganda if it decides to hear the appeal. The twin-storied buildings housing the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal were constructed and fully furnished at a cost of 57 billion shillings each. Rita Kanyamujuni, NTV Tonight.